The Mystery at Belmore Court. Chapter 1. An Invitation to Belmore Court. On a damp November day in 1924, I, Dr. James Carter, a modest country physician and longtime associate of the private investigator Algernon Bracewell, received a curious letter. To Mr. Algernon Bracewell, I require your immediate assistance. Something has occurred at Belmore Court, which demands your particular talents. I urge you to come without delay. Respectfully, Henry Lowell. Belmore Court, muttered Bracewell, gazing out the window at the gray London streets. You know, James, this might be just the thing to shake us out of these tiresome adultery cases. The next morning, we were aboard a train, cutting through the fog of Sussex. Chapter 2. The Inhabitants of the Estate. Belmore Court turned out to be a grand, though slightly weathered, Victorian manor. We were met by a tall, thin housekeeper, Mrs. Elliot. Sir Henry awaits you in the library, she said, without lifting her eyes. There we found Sir Henry Lowell, a wiry old man with a hawk-like nose and piercing eyes. By the fire stood a young woman holding a brandy glass. This is my niece, Miss Evelyn Lowell, he said. And this is a catastrophe. My brother, Sir Charles Lowell, was found dead in his study. Dead, I repeated. Under suspicious circumstances. The door was locked from the inside. The windows, too. He'd been shot. But the weapon, it's missing. How does one shoot himself and hide the gun? Bracewell sat down and steepled his fingers. Tell me, Sir Henry, who else is in the house? He listed the following. Miss Evelyn, Charles's daughter. Mr. Robert Hargraves, an economist and old family friend. Miss Greta Van Hoff, the German governess. Captain Tom Mellon, Charles's comrade from the army. Silas Davis, the butler. And, of course, the usual staff, cook, maid, gardener. They were all here that night. Bracewell asked. Yes, and no one heard a shot. The doctor estimates death occurred between 10 and 11 p.m. Chapter 3. The room where Charles died. We climbed the stairs to the study. A large, wood-paneled room. Blood stained the carpet. A book lay open on the desk. The windows were locked. The key was still in the door. Who discovered the body? Asked Bracewell. I did, said Sir Henry. He didn't come down for breakfast, so I became concerned. Bracewell examined the floor. Strange, he said. The dust is disturbed only near the door and the chair. No bloody footprints. No signs of anyone leaving. He moved to the bookshelf and ran his hand along the edge. A volume is missing, he remarked. Oh, I took it, Evelyn admitted. It was Plato, my favorite. Bracewell said nothing but made a note. Chapter 4. The First Round of Interviews. Robert Hargraves. Sir Charles was emotional, he said. We argued the night before. He wanted to invest in some African venture. I said it was madness. Where were you between 10 and 11 p.m.? In the smoking room. With Captain Mellon. Bracewell nodded. Captain Tom Mellon. I served with Charles in Sudan, he said. A fine fellow, though lately quite nervous. You confirm Hargraves' account? Of course. We were drinking brandy and reminiscing. Greta Van Hoff. I was in my room, reading. I heard nothing. But Sir Charles was uneasy of late. He seemed frightened. Of something or someone. Evelyn Lowell. My father changed in the spring, she said softly. He received a letter after that. He was never the same. He even locked his study at night. And where were you that evening? In the drawing room. Knitting. Then I went to bed early. That evening, Bracewell sat long by the fire, staring into the flames. I noticed him turning the silver compass charm he always kept, a habit he had when deep in thought. What do you think, Bracewell? I asked. There's no gun in the room. The doors and windows were locked. And yet this was no suicide. This is a locked room mystery, James. And that means the ladder to truth already exists. We need only find the first rung. Chapter 5. A New Trail. The next morning, Bracewell asked me to join him for a walk in the garden. Leaves crackled beneath our feet, and the pale sun cast long shadows along the gravel paths. James, he said, in a locked room murder, the question is rarely who, but how. Once you know the how, the who begins to reveal itself. You think the pistol was removed? Exactly. And to remove a weapon from a locked room, without entering after the death, one must use a third route, and I suspect it exists. He pointed to the corner of the manor. That's the west wall of the study. See that drain pipe? Too narrow for a person. For us, yes, but not for a small object, wrapped in a cloth and dropped. And below, a flower bed, freshly dug earth. We descended. Among the disturbed soil, we found a patch, and beside it, a small heeled footprint. A woman's shoe, Bracewell noted. Someone was here last night, perhaps retrieving the gun, or planting it. Chapter 6. A sudden discovery. By noon, news arrived. The gardener had found a pistol under a rhododendron bush, wrapped in a handkerchief, embroidered. Yell. Evelyn Lowell. I asked. Impossible. But Bracewell only smiled slightly. Or a setup. Or she's not quite what she seems. The pistol was an old military Webley revolver, one round fired. We returned to the house. In the foyer, we met Silas Davis, the butler, looking pale. Pardon me, sir, he whispered. But the governess. Miss Van Hoff, she's gone. No one has seen her this morning. Chapter 7. The disappearance. We searched the house. Greta's room was empty, her wardrobe missing a coat and suitcase. But on the desk lay an open Bible. The bookmark rested on the verse, "And the truth shall make you free." Fleeing is nearly always a confession, I said. Or a trap, Bracewell replied. Whatever she did, she had reason to fear. We examined her room. Among her papers were letters, some in German, with official seals. Bracewell scanned them quickly. Her real name is Greta Stoltz. From Dusseldorf. In 1916, she was a nurse in a field hospital in Alsace. Fascinating. Chapter 8. Evelyn's memory. Bracewell summoned Miss Evelyn Lowell to the drawing room. Miss Lowell, you're hiding something, he said gently, and I'm afraid it may cost you your freedom. You found the handkerchief, she whispered. Yes, but I believe you didn't drop it, at least, not there. Evelyn looked out the window. I went to the study that night. I heard a cry. I thought it was the cat. Then a shot. I panicked. Ran outside. Wanted to knock on Father's window. I saw light and a shadow. Whose shadow? A man's. Tall. I couldn't say who. But it wasn't my father. You told no one. I was afraid. There are too many secrets in this house. Chapter 9. The Hidden Door. That evening, in the library, Bracewell pored over an old blueprint of the manor. He studied it by firelight while I read the Times. James, look here. See this wall between the studies? It's double thick. And here, a symbol for a narrow door, now sealed. You think? Yes, a secret passage. I'm certain it was used. He knocked on the wood. The tone changed. We pressed on a panel. It creaked open. A narrow corridor led into darkness. In the dust, footprints. Whoever it was knew of this passage, and used it, as did our killer. Chapter 10. A conversation with Dr. Hall. Later that night, Bracewell asked Dr. Hall to speak privately. Tell me honestly, Doctor, what was Sir Charles suffering from? Hall pressed his lips together. His heart, and paranoia. He believed someone was watching him. Since spring. Yes, after receiving a strange letter. I never saw it, but he burned it in the fireplace. He served in Belgium during the war, didn't he? Yes. Why? Because I believe this didn't begin in spring, but in 1917. Chapter 11. A night without silence. The weather worsened. Rain lashed at the windows. The wind howled through the chimneys. Inside the manor, tension hung thick in the corridors. Every creak of the floorboards echoed like a pistol shot. Bracewell spent the evening in the library, sorting through letters and newspaper clippings that Mrs. Elliot had compiled. James, he called me over. Look at this. He laid out a yellowed clipping from Le Journal de Genève, dated May 1917. The headline read, Massacre in the village of Chartreville, a war crime. Listed below were the officers involved in the operation. Among them, Major Charles Lowell. It all fits, said Bracewell. He participated in the destruction of the village of Chartreville, and it seems Greta Van Hoff was survivor. She didn't come here by chance. So she did it. Not so fast. She fled, but her body was never found, which means someone helped her, perhaps even protected her. Chapter 12. The Secret Room. Bracewell decided to explore the secret passage at night. We brought lanterns and descended the narrow staircase hidden behind the study wall. It led to the cellar, and then to a small hidden chamber, dusty and filled with cobwebs. But in one corner, signs of recent use. A bedroll, crumbs of bread, books, a vase of wilting flowers. Someone lived here, I whispered. Or hid, said Bracewell. Perhaps after the murder. On a shelf, he found a notebook. German handwriting. The hand was unmistakably Greta's. I didn't want to kill. I only wanted to hear the truth. But he was frightened. He drew a pistol. I screamed. Then the shot. She witnessed it, but didn't commit it, said Bracewell. The true killer took advantage of the chaos and used her as a smokescreen. Chapter 13. The Revelation. The next morning, Bracewell gathered everyone in the drawing room. The fireplace crackled. Rain had stopped. Silence reigned. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, I now know who killed Sir Charles, and how, but more importantly why. All were still. Sir Charles was not killed in his study. He was murdered in the library. His body was then moved. The shot occurred at 10:20 p.m. The killer staged the scene as suicide. Who? Whispered Evelyn. Robert Hargraves. Hargraves stood up. That's preposterous. On the contrary, you knew of Charles's war crime. You were his comrade, and you blackmailed him. Nonsense. No, I have a letter in which he wrote, I cannot continue to pay. Let it come to light if it must. He drew the pistol. He shouted he'd end it all. I tried to stop him. You pulled the trigger, Robert, then staged the room. Greta saw it. She hid, and you decided to frame her, even planting Evelyn's handkerchief. You have no proof. Bracewell laid out the handkerchief with fingerprints, Greta's notebook, the bullet, and the passage map. You've lost, sir. Too many clues, and too much guilt. Hargraves slumped into his chair, pale and trembling. Chapter 14. After the storm. The police arrested Hargraves later that day. Greta was found in the village. She had left at night, believing Bracewell would understand. And of course he had. Evelyn stood by the window for a long time. Then she approached us. Thank you, Mr. Bracewell. You saved more than just me. You saved my father's name. Bracewell bowed slightly. Truth often comes late, but when it does, it cleanses, like rain, however long delayed. Epilogue. Returned to London. On the train back, I asked him, Did you suspect Hargraves from the beginning? No, but when Greta disappeared, I knew she couldn't be the killer. I looked for who benefited from her absence. The rest was observation, logic, and a touch of luck. You do like your locked room cases, don't you? Adore them, James. Especially when the locked door turns out to be within the soul of the man himself.